what they're chasing historically, the three in the trot. We haven't seen it since the Eels of 81, 82, 83, and we know just how special that team was. You talk about the success that is still to come, but just how huge is it?
Yeah, it's big, but they don't have to chase three. They've only got to chase one. They've already got two in the bag.
Yep.
And I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon. I think this is a generational team. One of the big factors in any successful side is time spent playing together, and because they got such good value out of a lot of these kids early in their career, they've been able to stay together longer than most teams can keep premiership winning teams together. And if they can keep that core group of about 8 or 10 players that they've got there for an extended period of time, it really doesn't matter who plays with them. They've always got good kids coming through. So it's a generational side, no risk in the world.
Is it too hard to compare a modern day side like this to the likes of that Eels side, or perhaps as we see there, the Raiders and Broncos of the early 90s?
Yeah, look, I've said many, many times that back in the 80s, it's a different planet to the football and the type of football that we have today. This was a generational team. It was coached by a great coach in Jack Gibson. That was my year. I got to play against this side, and they were very good. They had great experience in the likes of Mick Cronin and Ray Price and those players. Stephen Edge was their captain, Peter Wynn, but they also had some brilliant young players in Peter Sterling and Brett Kenny and Eric Groth, and most of them ended up playing internationals. It was a wonderful era for the game, but as I say, a different planet to what we experience today. This Broncos team, well, Broncos came in the competition off the back of Origin success, and their first teams looked like Origin sides, and certainly had a lot of class and a lot of talent in their teams, and they too went through dominant periods. Never won 3 in a row though, which is difficult. It hasn't been done since the Eels teams of the 1980s. The Raiders, they too were a great side. They went to 3 grand finals in a row, losing the third one to the Panthers, and came back to win again in '94. They went through a dominant era. Again, a lot of representative class players, Origin class players, played internationals, and they've sort of been the really big teams of our last 40 years. Roosters have threatened to do it a couple of times. The Melbourne Storm have been a generational club. They've been there at the top for a long period of time, and I think now this Panthers squad and this Panthers club ranks equally amongst all those great teams.
One big compliment, Gal, that's come their way has been able to continue the success, as Michael said earlier, even with shedding players because of the salary cap squeeze. Next year, Spanier goes, Stephen Crichton, another of the big names. Can they maintain the rate?
I think they can, because of what Gus just spoke about. They kept that core group of players, that 8 to 10 players. They've been able to keep them together, and they're the key positions. The halves, the fullback. They've kept them together, and it's like you just take one bloke out and plug another bloke in. That's the way they do it. It all comes down to the systems they've got in place there. And I think a lot of it comes from their development systems. They start developing these kids at 14, 15 years of age. They know what it's like to be a Panther. When they get to first grade, they appreciate and respect it. And when they get there, they've got a job to do. And if they don't do the job, they get someone else to do it. So I've got no doubt they can continue this success. Look, I don't know if they win 4 or 5 premierships in a row, but they're a great team. They're a really good team, and will continue to be successful for years to come.
There were some things said during the year from sections of the media around having to cheat to win premierships, and I know that people at Penrith were very offended by that notion that they're cheated. When you look back at the amount of players that they've lost, I know they've kept that core group of players there, but you look at the names that they've lost, Matt Burton, Coruscant, Kikau, they're going to lose, as you mentioned, Crichton and Lenu. They've lost Tarmail, Mansour. There are a lot of players and experience that have left the Penrith Panthers over the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And yet they've still done this.
Well, I think when you look at those players, they're all fantastic players, but the big one for me there is Coruscant. I speak at the spine and keeping the spine together, and how important it is to keep those players together. He left. Mitch Kenny has done a brilliant job. Mitch Kenny's not Abby Coruscant. We know that he's not the same type of player, but Mitch Kenny has been brilliant. He has been really, really good all year. So as I said, they take one out, they plug another one in, they know the system, they know how the club works, they appreciate the club, they love the area, and that's why they play so well.